Okay. Okay, Josephine, let's pretend that Maria and I are in the committee. And so we're going to start. We're going to say good morning or good evening, whatever it may be. Thank you for coming here online for your interview. Can you let me introduce ourselves? I'm Dr. Marlena McCullough, and my colleague here is
I'm Maria Feliz Incorporado, teacher
Okay.
in Berkeley High School.
All right. Now it's your turn. Can you please tell us something about yourself?
Yes, good day, Dr. McCullough and Miss Incorporado. So I'm Josephine Felicia, and I am from the Philippines. I am currently employed as a public school teacher here in Cebu City in the Philippines, and I am having a 4 years of experience in public school now. And I have already taught first grade and sixth grade classes, teaching the core subjects, which includes English, mathematics, science, social studies. And here in our country, we also teach what we call TLE, and we call it technical livelihood education. And we also teach math here, and it stands for music, arts, PE, and health. And at present, I have finished my master's degree in early childhood education as well. And currently, I am teaching first grade classes right now.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Why do you want to teach in Arkansas or
In the USA.
in the US or in Arkansas especially?
First thing is that I already had a prior experience of teaching international students before, because I was once an ESL instructor. So I already had an experience talking and teaching to students with diverse nationalities, and I taught them English. And through that, I have learned cultural differences of these children and of these students. So I have taught not just kids, but adults as well. So I have become more interested with teaching students of diverse nationalities. So I was drawn into and I was interested to teach in the US. It's because I want to know more about the educational system in the US, because based on my research, I I have realized that the United States has one of the best standard in education, and I want to improve my profession, and I want to excel in my profession by learning from your educational system, and at the same time sharing my culture and learning from the culture of the people in Arkansas and in the United States in general.
Very good answer. My goodness, that was an A+. Yeah, somebody has been listening to the Zoom. That was really good. Where did you get those ideas? Were they always there, or did you learn it from somewhere?
Watch videos.
I actually had a prior experience. I was being interviewed with an assistant. So they asked me. I actually applied for an ESL job with different nationalities: Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and they've always asked me like, why do I want to apply as an ESL instructor in their company? So I actually based my everything that I said just now based on my own experience, because I have already had like quite long experience in the ESL industry. So I love that kind of experiences that I've had before. So I want to pursue that the kind of experience that I've had. So I want to expand my horizon.
Very good. Oh my gosh. I don't think you need to practice. You're really good at this. Okay, let's try the next one. How do you handle disruptive students or students that are not motivated? How do you handle that?
Yeah. Actually, I had real experiences. Before I have taught sixth grade class. Actually, right now I'm teaching first grade, but however, I had 2 years of experience teaching sixth grade class, and um, students of this kind of age are somehow they have this kind of attitude wherein they're quite withdrawn from their classmates. And I tried first thing when I noticed this kind of student of mine who's somehow misbehaving in class, and I really don't know the reason. Instead of like scolding him in front of his classmates, I asked him to stay in the classroom after classes, and then I had a one-on-one talk with a student that at first he was shy. Then I asked him, you can talk to me because I'm your second parent, and you can open up to me anytime. And then after a few minutes, that student of mine, um, thankfully, he opened up to me. The reason why he was not paying attention in class because he was not given enough attention inside their homes in the first place. So I was somehow sad with that with that experience that he shared to me. And then I told him, what else? What are the other reasons why um, you're not paying attention in class? Another thing is that his parents was not there with him every time he comes home because he was only uh, he's only when his mother his dad was not supporting them anymore. So it was only his mom, and his mom works at night. So every time he comes home, his mom is not there. So after that conversation, I told him, um, in spite of that experience that you are experiencing, that you're having right now, though you seem like you felt like your parents are not supporting you at all, I want you to prove to them that you can still do good in class, and I am always here to guide you as your teacher. And after that conversation I've had with a student, I've also communicated with the aunt. It was the aunt who always communicates with me that time. So I informed him the reason why that student was misbehaving and not paying attention in class. So after all those experience and conversation that I've had with the student, and his aunt thanked me for informing them about the child's situation in class. And after that, I guess the aunt, the mother, and the child had a conversation at home after that. And then when the child, after a week after that, the child entered the classroom. So I noticed some changes in his behavior already because I guess it started when that started when he opened up to me. He felt more comfortable in class already because he had someone to talk to already. So I communicated with the child and at the same time with the parent.
Very good, very good. That's another good answer because you're showing that you care for the child and you did not want to embarrass him, and you made the effort to really learn about the child, about your student, because the knowledge of student is just as important as knowledge of your content area. And I like that you also collaborated with the family. The communication with the family is very important, right? So what else could she have included? I think she kind of covered it, didn't she?
Yeah,
And
she covered a lot.
yeah, and I love that you ended it with how the child changed. The behavior changed as a result of your intervention. So yeah, good job, right, Maria?
Thank you,
I'm
ma'am.
impressed so far. All right, let's go to the next one. You do that? How do you handle?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, what if
Um,
a student just doesn't want to learn instead of
yeah.
disruptive?
So like not about being not being about disruptive, but what about what about handling students that are not motivated to go to class?
They just kind of more of the lazy,
Yeah.
but
So how
not,
would you
yeah,
handle that?
do not want to do any
Uh,
work. Huh?
we have a lot of that kind of student in public school actually. So what I did, I I always make sure that I come to class prepared with collaborative activities. So since the child is not interested or just lazy to do schoolwork or school activities, so I would try to let him be involved in class in a way that he or she would be interested in. He would enjoy doing it. So I do collaborative activities. One of that is when I had this kind of class with my student in English, I did like varied activities. So one group was doing musical thing, like they sing, they create a song. Another set of students were making some posters, drawing something. And then that certain kind of student who was um, lazy to do something. So I've noticed that he keeps on drawing something in his notebook. So I let him join that group who would do poster making. So I've noticed that he was interested in that kind of activity. So I let him join that kind of group. So that way, the student was more interested and became uh, he even enjoyed the class more since he loves what he is doing.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's good because you also kind of look at his multiple intelligences, or MI, Gardner's
Mm.
multiple intelligences, and you used it in order to
Mm.
enhance learning, don't you think?
Yeah.
You might not want to use the word lazy. I did use it, and I put it in quotes. You need to use the word unmotivated, okay?
Yeah.
Because you don't ever want, it sounds negative to be called lazy students.
They're just
Okay.
unmotivated.
They're unmotivated,
Okay.
okay? So don't use the L word on
Yes.
them, okay? All right,
Yes,
so yeah, you use what you know about the students to mention that the differentiated activities, that's what you did. And then you can also even pair them up with a friend, and a lot of times working with their peers actually would help a lot, because according to research, their peers are actually, teaching them more sometimes than the teacher, right?
Yeah.
Because peer pressure and all
Like
that.
really, like you really have to know more of the student so
Mm.
that you can really put activities that can really help them
That's
and
right.
make them motivated.
Okay, there are 5 core propositions, and if you answer your any question given to you using these 5 core propositions, you'll be good. Okay, the first one you've addressed, knowledge of student. Second one is your knowledge of your content, what you're teaching. Okay, what's the third one? Assessment. Did you assess what the child knows, what the child needs to learn, and what the child would need to be the goal that the child you need to set for the child? So assessment. Okay, so far it's knowledge of student, knowledge of content, and then
knowledge for assessment.
knowledge of assessment, and then the last 2 are reflection and collaboration. They rhyme. Okay, so you reflect. So here it is. I get to know my students. And of course, I know how to teach them, what subject area, what in my subject area, the meat of my content I need to teach them. And then how do I assess? Are they learning? Am I using formative assessment in order for me to see that, do I need to continue? Do I need to step back? Do I need to to reteach? And then finally, of course, that includes your reflection. You reflect. Did everybody learn? Is there something I need to do? You reflect. How successful was it? How unsuccessful was it? Why? Those are the reflective practices that teachers should do. And then finally, you collaborate. Collaboration means, like your answer.
And your parents, and then not just with parents, but you also collaborate with the community as well.
Like, for example, if you have a lesson that you might need a speaker from the community to come in, because like an expert in the field, like when I did my flight unit, I brought in like the pilots and the electricians and all that, talking about their field, but it is in real life. You bring that real life, examples of jobs, for example, to your classroom, because then that's your collaborating. Okay, can I put you in a spot, and can you remember the 5 things?
Ah, okay. First is knowledge of the content that you're teaching. Um, Next one is knowledge about your student. Next is assessment. Next is Collaborating, and I forgot the last one. No.
Reflection, reflection and then
Reflection.
collaboration. Yes. And,
Reflection and collaboration.
yeah, so anytime you answer a question, always kind of look at those as your little checklist. Okay, so when I answer
Yes.
this, how am I going to show that I know my student? How am I going to show that I know what I'm teaching? How am I going to show that I'm assessing? Okay, and then I reflected, and then who are the people I collaborated with? Once you answer that and try to get all 5, then you're good. Your answer will be good, right? Especially if you use specific examples, right? Okay, so next, how do you address differentiation in the classroom? Like, for example, you're gifted and
Then
talented.
you have your SPED students, like,
Mhm.
yeah, your 104. You will meet those students when you come here. Like, they will be in your classroom as one. So how will you address those differentiation in your classroom?
They mainstream them. So they may go, for example, they may go to special ed in
Because
math,
now
you know, but
now in the law, so say for example, for my next school year, like they don't just go in SPED classes, they also have to go to other classes as well. So you will meet those different kinds of students, not just the gifted ones, or like, yeah, you also have those SPED students. So how
yeah.
would you handle that?
Special ed, you have your ESL students, you have your SPED student, and GT,
Different.
they call it GT, which is gifted and talented.
Mm.
Yeah. So how do you address them? Or 504, do you know what 504 is? 504 is like, that's the law where you have to differentiate this. It's not special
Like,
ed.
it's like accommodation.
Yeah.
They're not SPED students, but it's just that they need some accommodations, unlike with the normal, but I'm not using the
Regular,
right word.
regular.
Yeah, regular students.
Because a lot of times it might be a health issue. For example, if you have somebody with diabetes or somebody with ADD, anything extra that the parents are concerned about that may hinder their learning. So they will have a 504 plan for this student. And for example, it could be shortening the assignment. It could be
or like small group discussions. So that's very normal here. So you have to be considerate about that.
So you have to follow the plan that there's always a 504 coordinator in every school. Like when I was assistant principal, I was the 504 coordinator. So I made a plan. We made a plan as a committee. We made a plan with the parent and all this, the people involved, the counselor and whoever else that you want to invite. And then, GT kid or, special ed teacher, you put all this team together and you plan on what kind of accommodation would be perfect for the student. And then you have to make sure that the teacher knows this accommodation, because you have to do it, or else you are breaking the law.
You'll be sued.
Yeah, you could be sued.
Yeah.
So the 504 is just as important as the SPED modification. Okay, so if you ask anything about differentiation, you need to address not just the SPED, not just the GT, but you also could say about 504 or also ESL, which you know a lot about. So those 4 things I would say, right? Yeah.
ESL is not uncommon in some places, so you might want to use that as your example situation in differentiation.
Yeah, and also think about their learning styles, and think about your back, your visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Your back, that's learning styles, and then your multiple intelligences. Your artistic, your linguistic, and so on, like you said earlier. So think about those. Okay, when you differentiate, you need to differentiate either the process, the product, and I forgot the other one. There's 3 of them. But anyway, so you need to make sure that you answer all those four areas, okay? And then how are you gonna do that? You have a copy of this, so you might want to look through this before you do your interview. Because so far you really know a lot, right?
Yeah, I think you can answer it, but I guess you just have to be specific right away, like say it right away what you want to say, because
okay.
But she's fluent enough though. She's
yeah,
very
you're
fluent.
really fluent.
Yeah, you were fluent, and you can
I
think.
think it really helps that you were teaching ESL before.
Yeah,
really
it does help. Yeah, it's obvious that you can think, on your feet, which is good. Okay, so how do you address the cultural differences between the American and Filipino students? So we know that you have taught in the Philippines. You have never taught the American kids. So how do you address that?
I see. Uh, that's very interesting. Okay. I did some research on some teachers who are currently teaching in the U.S. and I've noticed some activities that they do wherein they um they did some activities like they shared some like for example they taught the students the national costume of the Philippines. And when it comes to learning about the culture of the people in the US, so the first thing that I would do is, of course, I would make some research about the culture of the people in the US, especially in Arkansas. And at the same time, I could collaborate with my co-teachers, so I could do some probably learning like we call it learning action cell here in the Philippines. So like we collaborate with the teachers and then we ask them like what would be their best practices uh, with this kind of activities that they do with the children. So through that, I could gain some ideas about how could I learn from their culture and how would I share it to my learners in the future.
Very good. Very good. You might want to also add that, you know, those are good answers, but you might want to also add that in the J1 teacher exchange program that you have, you will be sharing once a semester, so twice a year, something that you have learned and something that you've taught your students about our culture. So you may want to add that part. That is a given, you know,
Yeah.
right? So, okay, what else do you want to add?
Culture
to that?
stuff.
Cultural things, yeah. And then the next one is, how about angry parents? You know, you're not going to be able to please everyone. How do you handle if there's a parent coming in and they're very angry?
They're
So
very aggravated.
yeah, what do you do?
Okay. Of course, I would talk to them in a professional manner, and I would ask them to come down, and we could sit down and
If you
talk
can
about
tell
the
them.
issue face to face. And I guess if that doesn't work, if talking one on one doesn't work, of course, I would ask assistance from our head to talk with the parents. That way, um, there would be um, there would be someone who would um, who would probably communicate with the parent at the same time. So if yeah,
Okay. Well, you just need to know that I put here, listen first. So always hear
yes,
what they're saying. And then before you even say anything, you need to validate them by saying, this is what I'm hearing you say. This, and this. Am I correct? Did I miss something? You know, so you're actually sharing what you have heard. So they know that you have heard them. And if you can take notes, that's what I do.
yes,
I take notes and bullet them. And then that way I can repeat it back to the parent and they know. So now, let's do a planning together. Remember, we're partners in education. So let's make a plan together. So how do you see this problem to be solved? Let's talk about it. Diba? But you have to be calm, like you said, very professional, calm, but caring, and you empathize, And so anyway, but you show that, I think they'll be okay. You'll win them over. Do you think you have had any? You did not have anybody, did you have a parent angry?
Oh no,
I don't think you have experience. Okay. All right. So next would be about, by the way, if we run out of time, you can come back in the same link. Okay. So how will you handle peers or colleagues who are maybe hard to get along? Somebody, just like some people take them a long time to get used to somebody new. I had I had a colleague before, it took him 3 years to get used to me. And so, one of these autistic, like really smart, teachers that they really have to know you and they don't like change. What if you meet somebody like that? What do you do? How do you handle that? Did we get stuck? Oh, okay. Did we lose you? Okay.
hello.
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear my question about, you know, what if you have a colleague or a peer that just do not like you? How do you handle that? Or
Yeah, so I'm about to think about that just right now, but it's possible that there would be somebody or a colleague that we would not get along well. So first thing that I do is of course I would not be too friendly immediately to that person. I would let him or let her get to know me more by the way I work. So he would know how professional I am when it comes to work. And another thing is that if there would be anything that I could help um, with that with that colleague of mine, I would always be willing to help him. And at the same time, I think it's a good thing that would also not really ask help, but we could communicate with our colleagues, like ask for their advice. So
very
I
good.
guess yes, they get a
Right.
feeling that like we trust them,
Yeah.
or like somehow yeah, like we believe in them, and I think they're one of the best person that you could talk to if ever we have problem with our situation, especially in class.
Right? Because when you ask a help from someone, you are being vulnerable, and vulnerability
Yeah.
breeds trust.
Yeah, so like you allow them to get to know you.
Right. And also bringing Filipino foods would not hurt.
Mhm.
Right? You share adobo or whatever it is that you like to cook, you know, pancit, whatever, you can bring it and share, because some schools here actually have a monthly potluck, which means when, you know, they have a birthday month, you know, they celebrate everybody's birthday once a month, they will have a potluck. So yeah, that's, you could see, you could show our culture through that. But asking them for help and collaborating with them are really great things to say, right? Okay, we're about done. So some of them, if they are readers, they may ask you, what are some professional books that you have read lately? So I put down some of the here, 7 highly effective people, you know, good to great, and notice the author. So you need to pay attention to that title and the name of the author, because that really helps. You know, like you know what you're talking about, right? What is your latest professional thing that you've read
to enhance professionally?
Yeah, so mine is How to Be an Anti-Racist. That's my latest one that I actually have read. So anyway, in audio. So anyway, so be ready for that in case you have somebody that's big on literacy that will ask you. I always ask that one. Okay, so go ahead.
Oh,
What was your
most successful lesson? Like try to pretend that we are your students, and how would you teach it to us, like for around a few minutes?
Yeah, and some schools are actually doing that, having you like do a practice lesson, and we'll pretend that the two of us are
We are
your
the
students. So
Yeah.
how are we gonna start the day and all that, and try to, because we want to see how you handle that. Okay, now go.
Yes. If I would share the class I had during our class observation here in the Philippines. So what I did was I started the class with here in the Philippines. We start our class with the prayers, and then we set class reviews at the beginning of our class, so that the student would know the things that they would need to do, and that they would have to observe the entire lesson. And then after setting the rules in class, of course, they start my class with a motivation. My lesson that time was about objects that floats and sinks. So to make the class fun, I did what you call this what's in the box challenge. So there was a box, and then they would just put their hands inside it, and then they would guess what object was inside it. So that way I would somehow develop their motor skills by motor skills and their senses at the same time. So they guess for plastic, plastic spoons, stoves, and stuff like that. So there is already an integration of their sizes at the beginning of the class to know what they have. And then after the guessing games, what's in the box challenge, we did uh we did like um a sort of an activity wherein they would observe. I put a bowl filled with water in front of them, and then based on the objects that they guess, like to say for example, a student guessed the thing wherein he was able to guess that it was a stone. So I let him come in front, and then he was really the one who did the activity in front of the class. So he um the in that bowl filled with water. So and then I asked him first what he observed when he put the stone inside that bowl. So of course the student shared his ideas and his observation when he did the activity. And after that, I also asked the class what were their observation as well, and then the rest of the students did the rest of the activity, like putting another thing inside that bowl. And then after that, after letting um, my children give their observations in class, um, we also had a written activity wherein they would identify objects that float and sinks. So like it's a form of assessment whether of course I also asked them why do for higher order thinking skills I asked those students why do these objects float? What's the reason these objects sink in water? So to deepen their knowledge about the concept of the lesson. After that, my formal assessment was